Welcome back, guys, to T&M Bull. It's Jay, and also we've got a new guest today. Seani, how are you today, my friend? You well?
I'm very well. I'm excited to discuss current affairs and get my thoughts out there.
Well, there we go, eh? That's a very easy lead for people. We're doing a bit of a different one today instead of just a football chat or wrestling. Just a bit of shoot the breeze, as we like to say. So, first things first, get my words out. That'll be a great start. So I thought we'd start today talking about politics. Always a bit of fun, right?
Definitely.
No? Right, so definitely if you're old. So this is my first question. We're in a bit of a weird one. Obviously, the budget's just been announced, and minimum wage is obviously going up, apparently, or the living wage, however you want to word it, up to £9.50. But my question to you is, Labour currently, no matter which way you look at it, I believe you're probably looking at the worst situation, probably since Michael Foot, I probably think, of how unpopular they are. I mean, Scotland is totally SNP currently, apart from obviously a couple Tories up there, and maybe one or two even Labour, but apart from that, it's full SNP. What do you think, Seani, that Labour's got to do to turn it around? Well, not even turn it around, just to kind of even get back in the mainstream, because they're really, really down at the moment, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It starts at the top, like any good football club, business, corporation. It starts right at the top. And what have we had? We've had Ed Bowles, Jeremy Corbyn, and now Sir Keir Starmer. And I think, Corbyn was far left. People don't like that, especially the media. And as for the current guy at the minute, Sir Keir Starmer, I mean, if he knocked on your door, you'd close it. It's just one of those things.
Well, you say that. Can you remember the bit of media the other day when he got invited to the pub and the co-owner chucked him out?
I didn't see that, actually.
Yeah, and but we discussed this prior, but for me, for Labour to get back up there, I just think that, without sounding silly, we kind of revert back to footballers, but I don't think they've got any superstars or household names. Well, people call Corbyn and everything, everybody knew his name. Everybody,
Yeah.
And do you know what? This is the first time ever I don't even know who the shadow chancellor is.
Ooh, Rachel Reeves, I think.
Well, the fact that you've even got to think about that shows my point.
Yeah, I would always know. In the past it was... Sorry, it was Ed Miliband, wasn't it, the Labour leader, and Ed Bowles was the shadow chancellor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you have to think about who is actually in charge of Labour, apart from the top guy, who, again, he's got no charisma. There's nothing about the fella. Personally, I think you've got to learn the lessons of 4 defeats now. Going left didn't work. Saying nothing doesn't work. You've got to get somebody like maybe Jess Phillips, who actually speaks to real people. She's got a lot to say. I mean, I actually saw an article where she said it's shit being an opposition MP. I mean, you've got to get angry. You've got to get angry and say, right, what are we going to do to change? We've got to communicate and respect your voter. They don't do that, unfortunately. There's a lot to change there. There's a lot to fix.
Well, the red wall's not even a thing anymore.
Well, that's it. I mean, they lost, I think, 5 significant seats. Bishop Auckland, Redcar, Darlington and Stockton South. I mean, these were crazy. Yeah, these were 5 top Labour strongholds, which would never have gone Conservative. They've not just turned them over, they've actually got majorities now, these Conservatives in them seats.
That's
big
crazy.
Majorities.
In the north.
Yeah, in the north, the red wall is no longer.
Well, I was saying to you prior, but I'll say it again. Do you think these votes was lended because of Brexit, or do you think that they can actually keep them now?
I think they're theirs if they want them.
Really? Do you honestly believe that?
I do.
Because I was saying to you before, in regarding of Europe, I was saying with Boris and the Conservatives, we all know what their message was, don't we? It was leave Brexit, out. The people's going, well, can we have another vote? No more votes. That's it, done, out. And with Labour, even though it's finished all them years ago, I still don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. It was something like, we'll vote on it, we'll go to a people's vote, and then if the people then vote for it, then we'll have a discussion. Then if we've discussion, then we'll think about going. It was so complicated.
Absolutely.
And when you look at the Tories back then, they was literally self-imploding. And the thing is, I remember people going, Corbyn just is taking a back seat and letting the Tories, beat themselves up, which they was doing. But the difference is that he never went in there for the kill. He just sat back too long,
Yeah, and he tried to be all things to all people, which in politics never works. Boris Johnson had clear communication. He's the type of guy, if he was going to come round at a dinner party, you'd invite him just to see what he was going to come out with. He is likable to a lot of people. A lot of people hate him on the left, of course, but you've got to have a clear communication message that gets through to people. Boris honked on about Brexit, get Brexit done. And like you say, Jeremy Corbyn, you need a degree to figure out what he wanted for Brexit.
Well, yeah. The thing is with their manifesto, whilst it's not bad, the Labour one, it's just not realistic. Broadband for all. Who's going to pay for that?
Well, that's typical Labour, isn't it? Coming out with virtue signalling for all these different things they're going to do. But it never resonates with people, and it never breaks that two-way respect. I don't think people believe what they say.
Yeah. Well, the fact is, when they were going to cancel all student debt and people who had it before, we'll cancel all that, we'll get broadband. You're thinking they're all fantastic ideas. However, they're just not. It just can't happen. It just can't. I do believe in lowering the fees, not to obviously ridiculous amounts, but not where, you're paying for the rest of your life to get out of debt. Because I've seen 30, 40 times, and what you've got to essentially, it's years, 30, 40 years, that it's going to take you to pay your university debt off. And not even just that, a lot of the time currently, and I've got friends in the same boat where they won't earn a certain amount, so they don't have to pay that university debt off. And now the Tories on about lowering that, so people will actually pay it off.
Yeah.
My question to you is, going forward, I mean, do you think that it should be lower, the university fees? Do you think they should be wiped off? Do you think they should charge more? I mean, it's not free, and you shouldn't be going to these ridiculous courses that they were set up for, hence why they put the prices up. So there was actually, people who wanted to go for the right things. It was actually, affordable, but now it just isn't. I mean, is there a way to revert back to it, or are we just there now?
I think just going back to what you said with the Labour promises, about wiping off student debt, things like, people don't believe it. People just do not believe that they're going to do that. As for university fees, I mean, we should actually consider ourselves quite lucky, because in America, them fees follow you around for your life, and people have terrible poverty trying to pay off them fees. We're in a much better situation than the Americans. But I mean, the Tories have got Labour on this. They're already introducing things to help people that way.
Do you think that so I'll restart the question again, because I've done a terrible job of going into it.
No.
What do Labour have to do to get back in power? Because it's a whole generation now. Let's just remember, it's a whole generation that only know a Conservative government. I think that's crazy, but we're there.
Yeah,
and I think turnaround. Yeah,
I mean, you've got to learn the lessons of 4 defeats. 4 times now, they've gone left, they've gone centre, they've gone posh, they've gone Islington. It's not worked. It's not resonated. So I think it only leaves one alternative. Sorry.
Yeah, they've gone Islington. I like that. That was great.
Well, is the Islington set, isn't he, Corbyn?
Yeah.
It's a whole different kind of posh, that. But yeah, go right. If that's what they have to do, what's wrong with that? It works with a lot of working class people. Communicate better. Respect is a two-way thing, so you've got to earn the electorate's vote. And get angry about this. 11 years out of power. Get angry if you're Labour. Do something about it.
I remember we were talking prior, and the way that Tony Blair approached it was the fact of, I mean, just remember, I believe that's the last government we had, by the way, Gordon Brown and Blair. That's just crazy to me how long it's been.
Yeah.
But it was really get the newspapers on your side. That is so, the whole thing of the newspapers is against us. It's not going to get them on their side. That is such a major fact now that the common people, you know, and the majority of hardworking people still read papers. They still go over the news media outlet. And I don't think it can be appreciated of how powerful they are. You know, they need to get them on your side, don't you think?
Absolutely. Blair had it right, didn't he? You know, with his communications director, Alistair, what's his name now? Campbell, that's him. So Alistair Campbell was his communications director, and he had the media in his pocket. He had big business in his pocket. And it got them 3 wins, didn't it?
Well, it's 3 strong. And not only just that, it was totally the opposite way, by the way, at the times, where it literally didn't look like the Conservatives were going to come back. They smashed them. I tell you what, I do believe that a friend pointed out earlier to myself was the anti-Semitism with Labour. I don't think that they've recovered from that. I think it's hit them hard. They didn't deal with it properly, just going, no, we're not anti-Semite. I don't think you can recover from it just by doing that. And the more they tried to do it, the more it followed them. I mean, you get your Tories saying that obviously Islamic and everything, and, you know, Islamophobia. But the way it hit the Labour Party, and I still don't think that the main core of, like you're saying, they just don't believe them, do they? They just don't believe them, what they're saying.
They don't believe them. And, you know, it's a hard thing to shed, is racism. Once you get accused of it, even if you didn't do it, you're tarnished with it for life almost. But how Corbyn handled it was, I mean, he couldn't have handled it any worse. You know, there was people that left. I mean, they formed a new party over it. That didn't work. But there was talk of actually one stage Labour being like finished, you know.
Yeah.
Through this.
Yeah, that's how hard it was. I think like you, we were said in obviously a private statement that this is whilst I did like a lot of his ideas, and I'm not gonna, you know, slander the guy. I think he's actually he had really good ideas. But the problem with that is when you've got them kind of ideas, then you need the backing of your whole party, and you haven't got that.
Do you not find that he came across a bit condescending?
Well, as a Labour vote myself, it felt like it was us versus them. The way it was portrayed, and when you haven't got the support of your party, I mean, this is a guy, by the way, who had to do a Labour vote, a membership vote twice essentially, because the MPs just didn't back him.
That's right. Yeah, he didn't have the backing of his own party, but the actual members backed him, not the MPs. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what can you do when you only just get enough to actually get there, and someone actually, you know, puts your name in just to make it equal?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult, especially when, you know, like you said, the mainstream media are constantly calling him far left, left-wing loony, all them, every name under the sun. They were throwing, he's going to do communism, socialism, all that. I don't believe any of that. I do believe it's not my... Sorry?
He's going to get rid of the monarchy tomorrow. We're just saying, he hasn't got the power to do that. No way. Even if he wanted a republic, it wouldn't happen. No. But the papers did that good a job on him that people literally believe he'd get rid of Trident, and you know, if any terrorists come, he'd negotiate with them all. The thing is, we do need to approach how we deal with terrorism in a totally different. What we're doing now currently isn't working. It's not working. But the way he was stating it, they just gobbled him up straight away.
Yeah, he was seen as weak, wasn't he? Basically.
Exactly.
He was seen as weak, and you know they're slowly building up to the same thing with Keir Starmer. He's seen as a weak leader. I mean, I don't think he was even in the debates the other day, but he's not the right man for the job. And it goes back to the question you originally asked me: what can they do to get power? And it starts at the top. You've got to make some changes right at the top.
I do believe that they should work from Scotland down.
Yeah.
You know, saying that. I really do. They've got to get that back.
Well, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. You've got the SNP currently have 45 seats out of 59.
That's crazy.
I mean, if Labour took, say, 80% of those seats, that could be the difference next time around between getting back in power.
Yeah. I think everyone realises even if they get close to getting back, that they would have to do a pact with the SNP currently. And I think that's what people fear more than ever. They don't want that. People don't want it. Currently, in obviously England, because they're just thinking, well, it's going to go to a vote, we're going to lose them. And if we do lose Scotland, I can't see Labour getting half of England for a long time, and Wales, obviously, and everything else, and Northern Ireland, etc. I really can't see it.
It goes back to, as well, when the Conservatives were out of power back in the early noughties. People said, "Oh, they're finished. They're absolutely finished. They'll never come back." And to say you were a Conservative voter was like, you were the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's happening now. Things will change for Labour, but it's got to start at the top, and they've got to start respecting the northern strongholds that they had.
Well, I think it kind of worked in a benefit for them, because in a weird way, it was every time Labour got in power, the North obviously got more funding. And then when the obviously Conservatives got in power, because normally what happens in a government is every 2 terms, the other party would get in, because, people think it'd be different. But what's happening is that hasn't happened now. The maximum it really goes is to 3 to 4 terms, and then the other party would get a chance. So when the Tories are in, and not only are they, staying in power, they're actually growing. So what's happening is when they're going to North, up North, they've now actually got to fund them instead of cutting all their funding because, they're coming to Tories. It's this massive whole overhaul and upgrading. It's going to be so hard to keep the promise. I watched both, I don't know if you did at all, Seani, watched both conferences. And it was the first time I've been so underwhelmed by both. No big promises, no nothing, apart from the £9.50 thing, but then taxes are going up. So
underwhelming is the comment, isn't it? Because it's just I mean, who would watch it? It's just boring because it's the same old things. Labour promising everything, the magic money tree that doesn't exist. And actually the Conservatives are now doing things that Labour were promoting 2 or 3 years ago anyway, such as, the tax rate for universal credit. You can earn more money, and, they've lowered the percentage down, tapered it, as they call it. So they're actually increasing the minimum wage. So I don't know where Labour go from here with strategies like that. I don't know.
I don't know if they need to change the whole manifesto, but it's just like you were saying, it's they just sound so boring. They really do need to go out and be passionate. I don't see no passion. I'm living in Derby, and our MP, I was watching the Vicar Dibley the other day, and they did a joke about Margaret Beckett, and this was in the early 1990s, and she is still the MP for Derby. That's nearly 30 plus years.
Job for life.
And you're just thinking, how? And I'm not being funny. You can't have the same passion for a job over 30 years. It is impossible. And I see the gap, and not only does nothing get done in Derby, but there's no representation, I feel like, and it just needs a whole new change, because otherwise Derby will become Tory, or it will go to Farage's party,
Yeah, I mean, I was going to bring up Farage, actually. Labour could learn a lot from what Farage did with UKIP and the Brexit Party. He was charismatic. Even if you hated him, you'd agree with some of the things that he came out with. He got the media talking. He always had a new headline going on. Oh, he said this, he said that. Maybe Labour need a little bit of controversy. Stop playing it safe all the time. Say something that's a bit outrageous, not nasty, not racist, not homophobic, but something that gets people talking, because nobody is talking about the Labour Party right now.
No, like I said, if you don't even know the Shadow Chancellor, it's just horrendous. I mean, the fact is as well, it's just it reminds me of a school teacher, and when you're an adult, the last thing you want to do is learn from your school teacher and listen. And while Boris, everyone's like, oh, he's an idiot, blah, blah, blah. But they will listen to him and go, oh, he's talking about hobnobs and everything or something. But the thing is that you actually listen to what he's saying. You know, no matter how ridiculous and daft it is, and the fact that you're watching your favourite show and a Tory's on it, you know, like if you watch anything of I Got News for You, they're always being represented on there. However, I can't think of anyone apart from Ed Balls at the moment. And can I just point out as well that they got rid of Andy Burnham as well, right? And since they've got rid of him, I actually like him as mayor of Manchester. I hate him MP. Well, I wouldn't say hate, but very disliked him. He's doing a great job at Manchester, and I'm just thinking they need more characters like that. They need someone like that, you know, the passionate, like you've seen earlier. They need to, you know, get everyone on the side instead of, they're just nothing. There's just nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they missed out a few times, didn't they, Labour, with a decent leader? If you remember, Ed Miliband and his brother went up against each other. Well, I'm sorry, but the wrong Miliband brother won because all the unions backed Ed, and David Miliband was more Blairite, if you like. But he was charismatic. He had something to say. He was an interesting fella. So David Miliband was a good option, which they missed out on. He's now in America. And as for Andy Burnham, he was the MP for Lee, for a very safe Labour seat, actually, just on the outskirts of Greater Manchester. And he decided, I think after Corbyn, he went up against Corbyn, but after he won, I think he said, no, that's enough. And like you say, he's doing very well. Manchester's very, very receptive to him, you know. That's what they need.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I really do. It's they just need something, like saying that the media, the whole thing. Whilst it was exciting under Corbyn, because no matter what you do, you'd always turn it on. But when he took that foot off the pedal, then that was it. You know, I really can't see a way back. I really can't. Like you were saying earlier, Islington politics. You know, it's I was saying to you earlier, it's about going to a dinner party, isn't it? You go to your dinner party, you have Boris there. You know what he wants to talk about, you know, whilst you might not agree, he's always talking, you know, you get into it. But with Corbyn, he's got so many things he wants to talk about. And he had the youth on his side with, you know, the whole uni thing and, you know, let's get everything right. Let's stop going to war and everything.
It was, whoa, Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah, exactly. All of that, you know, that kind of media prowess, actually, even silly things like chants, it gets the people on the side, you know.
Yeah.
Versus them. There's just nothing now. You can't see them all, God, Keir Starmer, can you?
I can't see it happening again. You've got to change that leader. He's on his way out. But can I ask you a quick question, AJ? Yeah. What do you think about my theory with Jess Phillips? I mean, I'm not a Labour guy, as you can probably tell. I'm on the other. On the other side. But Jess Phillips, I believe she resonates with real people. She speaks real sentences and sounds like a real person. These other people do not sound like real people.
Do you think she'd want it now?
Well, she went up for it, so she's obviously got ambition.
I mean, the thing is, I think she should go for it, but I don't think she should go for it now. The thing is, though, I was saying to you before when I was going, who do you think should take it? And you said, I do believe that if Labour are going, you know, the whole, including, I said, the only person I don't want to get in is Rebecca Bailey. Can't stand talking about not only bland, but so far left. And I look at her and I'm just thinking, you're totally you know, you just.
I can't stop looking at her eyes and the glasses, though. I mean, something. I don't know. It's like I'm hypnotized or something. Yeah. Is it not Rebecca Long Bailey?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, even her name's long.
Yeah.
But Jess Phillips, great shout, great, you know, passionate. Well, they won't do it because it makes sense.
Exactly, they won't. But if they don't, then they won't win.
Well, it's like your Ed Miliband thing earlier. David Miliband, the easiest, best option, helps you go up there, and for some reason, and a lot of people would do it. It's funny to get his younger brother. It'd be hilarious, you know. He's the underdog. Let's get him, and then he's in the position. You go, oh, that's it. There's a reason why he was the underdog, because he's crap. Makes sense. Do you know the most memorable thing I can remember about Ed is two things, right? Yeah. The first one is he can't eat a bacon sandwich. The second one is that big stone that they put all the things on.
Oh,
That ended up outside a cafe, I believe, and they spent like 10 grand on it as well. And you're thinking, that is why people don't take you serious.
But the funny thing about that is the Tories spent 20 grand to get it demolished.
But do you know, stuff like that, just stuff like that, and you're just thinking, and people who aren't bothered about politics, they'll go, and that's the reason, and I get it.
Yeah,
Get it, I really do, because it's just so ridiculous.
It was called the Tombstone.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Undertaker didn't flip in sue him for that.
But don't you think then that they've not been fighting the Tories for the last 11 years or 12 years? It's coming up to 2022. 11 years now, they've been fighting themselves.
100%.
Not the Tories have got a clean. The Tories I think the Conservatives are crying out for an opposition, for somebody to challenge them.
They're against themselves. That's what it's come up to. That's literally what stage right now. The country is so desperate. I tell you what's going to happen eventually. It's like you were saying, the Labour are still strong, but they're not strong enough. And with the SNP, they can't get in power due to the fact of, like you said earlier, they nearly lost 60 seats. The Lib Dems are just nowhere near, and with the SNP being the third party and can't grow any further outside Scotland, obviously.
True.
So what's going to happen?
Sorry to just interrupt you there. Although I believe if they did stand for a couple of seats just below Scotland, I think they'd stand a damn good chance because there's not much opposition.
Well, the thing is, the SNP, believe it or not, and again, I'm not in Scotland, so I can't represent it. I have seen the media going, they're against it, but the SNP is what Labour should be in this country. They've got some great manifesto policies in there. Great, and it's for working people. I know more people in the SNP than I do this Labour shadow. It's just crazy that that's even a thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the leader in the House of Commons, Ian Blackford, he's very good. There's something about the way he stands up and speaks from the heart, and he means what he says.
And the fact that I even know what his name is crazy. Yeah. He really does. Everyone wrote the SNP off before, saying what a joke they are, and they took that up and just ran with it. I'm like you're saying, the only way they can do it is by going through your way, getting the newspapers on the side and everything, change the manifesto, we're not asking for non-believable things, we're not asking for free Wi-Fi in every home, we're not asking for student debts wiped off, even though it would be great, but £10 an hour, extra police officers, all of these, they're just not going to happen. What they do is when they say these policies is they're saying them for a 10-year project, but your term's only 3 to 4 years max. They need to get manifestos that they hit straight away running. If you're going to put the living wage up to £10 an hour, put it up, but say, guess what, business rates are getting cut. So I asked this from you before, but I'll ask it again. With the Conservatives and Labour, the thing is when you actually go up to these billionaires and you say to them, you're having a tax cut, do you think that is being business friendly, or do you think it is actually just letting the billionaires getting off with it, and the middle class just getting stuck with the brunt of it as per?
Well, I think what you've got to look at with the big tech companies and the major corporations, are they evading tax or are they avoiding tax? Now, to me, both are as bad as each other, but one's illegal and one's legal.
They're the same thing in my eyes. I know what you're saying. I had this conversation with a friend the other day. Avoidance of it, it's just living life. It's the same word, but
the problem is, Jay, is that the government moved the goalposts with the tax so that the companies pay more tax, right? But then these big tech companies have got the best lawyers on earth, right? So they find accountants and lawyers, and they find a way, we can move this money here and move it. And they're always going to do that, unfortunately. The way to do it is to actually encourage them Not lower the tax, of course. You've got to get some money off them, but don't you go in heavy and say we're going to tax you, Google, Amazon. And yeah, of course, that sounds good, but it doesn't. It never works. You've got to encourage business. You've got to encourage growth.
Well, with the tax code and everything, I was reading about business, someone like Starbucks, I believe it were, and they actually made, I think it was something like 7 to 8 years of losses in the UK, and you look at them and think that's just not true, obviously. So if they open a new store, for instance, all the revenue that they earned from the previous store gets deducted because they open a new venue, so hence why they'll always be in a minus. And you look, and until all the shops in the UK are all Starbucks, and they can't do that anymore, but even then they'll find a loophole, I'm sure of it. But until that happens, I don't know if we need to introduce them to come in. I mean, the fact of that they volunteered to pay 20 million in tax or whatever it is, they just made up that figure. I don't even know how they got to that figure. I just think that's crazy to me.
But again,
loopholes, surely.
They have all the power, don't they?
All of it.
They have all the power to say, right, we will pay you this much. So what we should do as HM Revenue and Customs is get the best lawyers. It'll actually create more tax money if we got better lawyers to meet with these people, negotiate better terms so that they do pay the right amount of tax. But you can't just go in there and say, right, you're paying, 80-90% tax, something great. It doesn't work. It never works. You've got to encourage growth and encourage people to work for these companies.
If you earn money, I think I was saying to you before, but if you earn money in this country, and if everyone would probably agree with me, if you earn money in this country, you should have to pay money in this country, as a company. And they really need to get on with this internet business. They really need to get on it. The way that they earn money, these massive business, Amazon, Facebook, etc. It's not up to them to regulate themselves. I saw this big in America with Facebook as well. Their profits have gone up by they've gone up billions revenue, right? That they're getting more revenue than countries are now, and they're not paying their next to nothing on it. And all the Senate and Congress basically say to them is, well, you should be governing yourself. You think and that's in the privacy laws as well, I'm aware.
But doesn't that prove the point, though, that they're told to pay so much tax and they don't pay it? So what would increasing the tax on them do? Just make them not pay it even more. So we've got to negotiate with these big companies and improve the revenue collections. Get better lawyers, get better collection, and if they don't do it, we've got to fine them.
Well, Johnny, if we went to Amazon and says, right, if you don't pay your tax, you're not going to do business here, I tell you something, they pay the tax, because otherwise, let's just say Amazon went tomorrow, just for argument's sake, they go, no, we're not paying any tax, we're leaving then. There'd be another company exactly the same that would start up tomorrow and pay that tax.
It'd fill the gap.
Straight away. So I just don't get why. In America, I believe, because you're quite an American expert, right? They've banned lobbying, I believe, in American politics.
Oh, you mean Biden has introduced some policies banning lobbying? Yeah.
So you can't go there and you can't go lobbying. But in this country, it's rife. I've just seen, is it an ex or current MP just being done for that? For lobbying and approaching the government, I believe, to 10, 12 times, stating that his company should be getting a bailout, and the food processing should be antibiotics and milk, etc. But the fact that you can go up to the direct, minister whilst you're even in Parliament or out of Parliament, and they've got these numbers, surely the lobbying should be looked at as well.
Well, the point is you can't do that. It's illegal to do that in this country. Yeah, they are doing it, but when they get found out, then they get, they have to resign, they get fined, maybe jailed, because lobbying in this country has been illegal for as long as I know. But in America, actually, it was Trump that brought in anti-lobbying. He said, no, I will not take money off big tech, all these big companies. I don't want to be answerable to all this. It was Trump that actually stopped all the lobbying.
Well,
in America, it is actually more prevalent than it is in the UK, Jay.
So we'll just go to Trump now, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Because I think we've answered quite a lot in regard to Labour and how they need to proceed. And, we'll come back. We'll come back on another episode to all that. However, with Trump currently, do you think he can get in next time? Do you think it will be Trump 2024, or do you think the Republicans have gone no? Because I currently, on the outside, think that the Republican Party is Trump.
It's Trump 2024. Who else can beat him at the minute? Can you name another Republican?
Can I name one?
Well, can you name another Republican who could go up against him?
No, not that I can think of that's got a legitimate chance.
He's got the party wrapped. Sorry, Jay.
No, I'm just saying. I think even Ted Cruz is in his back pocket now, isn't he?
Completely. I was just saying he's got them wrapped around his little finger, and it's a very little finger.
His little tiny hands.
He's got it sewn up, and not only that, it's a big money making machine now in America. It's a corporation called Save America, and you've got people at these rallies paying money and donating, thinking that they're going to get out the socialists and the communists, and what they're doing is they're putting hundreds of millions of dollars into Trump's back pocket.
Well, I think he's got his own network now.
I think it's just launched. I don't think whether it's here yet, but I think it's only just launching this week or next week.
It's going to be huge.
It'll be massive. But when he speaks, people listen.
It's can I just point out as well, right, that this is a man, by the way. Whilst people go through his achievements and you think, right, he's had his casinos that have failed, he did his Trump universities failed, and yet he's still a very, very, very popular, huge figure in America. And I just, I read something that if he put all his money in the bank, his inheritance, it would actually be more money. I don't know how true that is.
That's very, very true. If he'd have just put his all of his money from, say, when his father died, Fred Trump, I think 99. If he'd have just put that in the S&P 500, it would have trebled, times 7, times 10. Where he's lost money. He's very good at losing money. Is Donald Trump.
Grand. But the thing is, I remember, and this is what one of the UK politicians could really take apart, the massive idea from it, is when they was going, oh, well, you didn't pay any tax, and he goes, that's because I'm smart. That's because,
but how clever is that?
Just admitting it. And I'm just thinking, that's what people want.
They still voted him in, even though he said, yeah, you allowed that law. You allowed me not to offset these, what's the word I'm looking for? Depreciation against all these hotels that I own. So you allowed me to offset. You made the laws, Hillary Clinton, to allow me to offset all this tax. Yeah, I did avoid it, but I did it legally. And where can you go with that? You've got no argument.
If you're far right, I don't know if you've ever seen the channel, and it could probably get me taken down actually on YouTube saying this, but the Young Turks.
Oh, the Young Turks, yes. I think they've changed it to YT now, haven't they?
They just lie so much. And
they hate him.
Trump so much, because I remember a couple of their employees going, they'll say something about Trump, and then the week after they'll counter their own argument, and just make stuff up. And someone like Donald Trump, he will love that. He would just love the fact that all his, enemies, as he would obviously probably view them, that they haven't got a foot to stand on, because it is cool to dislike Trump. It's awesome. People love it.
Awesome. I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched The View with the 4 or 5 women on the panel.
I haven't. It's well known, isn't it?
It's well known. But I mean, 80% of them, 4 out of 5, are Democrat. They're left wing or the centre. And you've got one representative from the right. Now that's not fair. How is that getting an equal conversation? They dominate. Hate Trump. Hate Trump. Hate Trump.
Because it's just it's what they believe. The media currently, they actually believe that's what the people want. That's why when you turn on the TV, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, by the way, but it's what obviously the media portray that the people want.
it's so diverse now. You can't even watch a TV channel that hasn't got every single different ethnicity on, or a disability, or so whilst you go on a show and then you see obviously The View, and obviously I bet you without even looking at it, they've all got all diversities in there, different religions, etc.
Correct. Yeah.
And without looking at it, they go, yeah, this is what the people want. People want to go out and they want to slam Trump. That's what people want. And I can't remember the last time I saw a comedian that's far right leaning. They're all left wing, all of them.
I don't think there is one. I mean, if you listen to Frankie Boyle, it's all hate the Tories, hate the right.
Cool,
and it is really cool to hate them, but that's okay, because what they need to do on the left is learn from Boris Johnson, learn from Donald Trump, be charismatic, say something that's a little bit different, a little bit interesting, because they're so boring. I mean, you could just fall asleep every night to listening to the Labour.
It's all the same stuff. And have you ever seen Spitting Image before?
Yeah, once or twice.
And the thing is, right, with Spitting Image, is that whilst they rip on Boris, they rip on everybody. They even go, they've got Keir Starmer on there, and his superpower is to bore people to death. And you just think, that is what a comedy show should be. It shouldn't be left or right. It should be no one's safe. A bit like South Park. South Park, they do exactly the same thing. They go, oh, we're not right, we're not left, we hate all of you.
Yeah.
And that's what comedians should be. They should have the right to go left or right.
But they don't. Every single one of them. All the late night shows in America, everything in the UK, all the comedians, they all hate the right. And it's a national sport now, hating Donald Trump. Even if he says something good, something that could change people's lives. For example, the prison laws that he reformed. Not one media outlet covered that other than Fox and Newsmax. He reformed a lot of prison laws in America to stop all these, multi-thousand years sentences, and he released a lot of black prisoners. But nobody talks about that, because it's not cool.
It's not cool at all, is it? To go on his achievements, because it's more cool to look at it. He actually did a porn star, It's
But that, to me, that's boring.
That's what they want. They want the showbiz aspect of it. They want to look at him, see how, he goes around calling people and everything. But I believe, if you employ a clown, you get a circus, I remember them saying. Yeah. And that's what it was. And I'm thinking, if he didn't stoop down to the level and ignore reporters and just let his politics, his policies, do the talking for him, people view him very differently, because he actually had quite a lot of success.
Yeah, you're not allowed now to say he's done anything good. It's very unpopular. Trump now, he's been portrayed as such a racist that you go near him with any kind of comment, you're a racist by proxy.
Yeah. I mean, look at Kanye West now. He can't even be seen anything, because obviously he wore the Trump hat and everything, and he was pro-Trump. He was like, no, you don't get it, all that lot, etc. And again, it's not the fact of he did a lot. Like I say, he did a lot. And also, you only have to look at, you talk about the Democrats and the Republic Party. They did a government shutdown for probably one of the longest that I can remember, watching it. Yeah, and that wasn't the Republican Party, if I'm right. But he would get blamed for that.
Well, the Democrats had control of the Senate, didn't they?
Yeah.
And the House, I think, was 50-50. But just going back to the reporting on Trump there in America, CNN is set up purposely, and you can't blame Donald Trump for saying fake news media, because it's a hate channel, isn't it? You tune it in, and it's hatred towards the right. It's hatred towards anyone with a different opinion other than the liberal media. But why don't they talk about Andrew Cuomo?
Well, if you want to laugh, just watch any kind of news outlet in America. If you watch Fox News, it's one of the most funniest programs I've ever watched. It's amazing. It's Scott Colson over there. He'll get a fact and turn it, and you're just thinking, all you have to do is just report the story. Okay? You report the story, and like we're saying with Trump then, without going into the details of he's got small hands, etc. He's ripping into everything. If he just lets his job do it, like his peace talks in certain departments, especially in
North Korea,
in some countries in the middle, he got nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. The guy,
he did, but I mean, when he went over to, I think they met in Singapore. He met Kim Jong Un, and at least he spoke to him. Obama wouldn't even meet with him. Biden won't meet with him. Nobody had met with this guy before. All right, maybe it didn't come to much, but he tried. He tried.
If that was Hillary Clinton, how many years do you reckon that meeting would have took?
It would have never got off the ground.
And he did it. This is the thing when they was calling each other, which is, by the way, one of the best insults I've ever heard. A dotard. A dotard. That was. But I was just thinking, they love that, the media, But when he actually met him, and they was looking at the, nuclearization and everything, and mind alone, the Democrats come out prior when they met, obviously, Kim Jong-il, I think it was his dad.
Kim Jong-il.
But when they met his dad, they agreed to denuclearize. And what happened is they took, obviously, all the sanction relief, got all the money, and got all the country fed, and then just carried on doing it anyway. And Trump was very aware what they did last time. And whilst they was going, look, we'll get rid of these, sites and everything, he goes, nope, you get rid of everything, or we carry on sanctioning you. It's that simple. You get rid of it or you don't. It's that simple. We'll stop the war games out of courtesy. You don't even have to agree with anything there. We'll just stop them. Okay, we'll stop being hostile in your area. Okay, and we'll even withdraw the troops. Mind alone, he's withdrawn all the troops from Afghanistan and Iraq that people demanded at the time. He's done that. Everyone saying he was war hungry. He got rid of all the troops there. But the way that the Democrats did it, did you see the devastation they left in Afghanistan? It was horrendous.
And what Biden's tried to frame it as now is that, it was Trump's decision to do that. Well, hang on one second. What Trump wanted to do was get the people out, get the ammunition and weapons out, and then you get the soldiers out. That was Trump's plan all along. What did Biden do? He did it in the opposite order. He got the military out. He didn't get the weapons out, and he didn't get the people out. He just got the military out.
Yep, and you've got them going around with helicopters and army. I remember equipment when they left, and they've all got the American Army equipment on. I just think another failed attempt, and everything that they've done wrong, they handled wrong as well.
Jay, the Taliban are flying Black Hawk helicopters, and Biden's talking about nothing. And they're flying their helicopters.
They've just... Let's just say they didn't even do that, just for argument's sake. Let's just say they're not even flying the helicopters, but the fact of they was reporting it going, no, they've got no chance of getting back in power. They've got no chance at all of... we won't negotiate with them. We won't negotiate with the Taliban. You've got to negotiate with them. Like all unfair, you've got to negotiate with these people. And I know that you've got to, haven't you? Because just saying, no, we're not doing it, that won't achieve anything.
You've got to get your people out, for Christ's sake. Get the people out who helped translate for 20 years, who were granted American citizenship. Biden left them there, and he left the weapons there. I don't know about negotiating with them. I don't know about that. But get your stuff out, get your people out, and then get your military out. Did you see the Afghanistan footballer that clinged onto the wheel of the plane?
Yeah.
And he fell, 200 feet down to his death. I mean, that broke my heart. Yeah. I mean, how anyone, and Biden won't talk about it. He won't take any questions. I mean, I don't know how anyone can vote Democrat ever again.
That's crazy, isn't it? No, I don't want to talk about it. Someone's died. No, I just don't want to. I'm fine. He has got to be. And I think that's probably what the American people believe that they needed. They wanted stability. That's why he got in.
That's why he got in.
It could have been a goat that was running. I do believe it could have been anyone.
But why don't they put up decent candidates? There's a woman in New York, a congresswoman, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. She's fantastic. I mean, it's not my kind of politics, but if you like that kind of thing, she's brilliant. She's charismatic. She says the right thing. You've got to be a millionaire, and she's not. She's poor. She's poor.
Yeah, you can't be it. I believe there was a stat that every single president isn't basically, mildly the word, self-made millionaire. They're all millionaires, all of them. There hasn't been one that's not been a millionaire in recent history.
Well, it was all a dynasty, wasn't it? If you look back, it was the Bushes for years, the Kennedys, who are still in power today in Congress, the Clintons, Hillary and Bill. It's just got a Dick Cheney now, and even his daughter Liz Cheney. It's all a dynasty because the money, it goes over and over. It's an old boys club, if you like,
Yeah, of course it is. So no matter how good someone is, right, from you, as we were saying earlier, from them people who's been in power for so long and haven't got the taste for it anymore, to the people who have got really, really good ideas, they just won't get a sniff because they can't buy their way out of it. How many times do you reckon Biden paid for people to put good advertisement in papers, or they even own papers for him to push his agenda non-stop? That's all that would have happened. So it doesn't matter how good you are, it just matters how wealthy you are, and who. It's not, again, what you know, it's who you know, isn't it?
Absolutely. But maybe one day it might change with somebody like AOC. Somebody with a few different. If she gets a few quid behind her, I know she'll get re-elected next year. I'm 100% sure on that. She's a very good politician, and I do believe, one day if she gains some funding from somewhere, she could be a good president.
Do you think Trump will get back in power though? I just had a quick thought then in regard of the what's the word? He got twice. Help me out here. Right.
So when he went for election in 2020, he got 12 million more votes. Is that what you're saying?
No.
No.
When they was trying to rectify him, to kick him out.
Oh, sorry, he was impeached twice.
That's the word. I couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
Do you think that they'll allow him to run again, knowing that he's been impeached? Because he really tried to put that capital on him, the whole thing.
100% yes. He's the Teflon Don. He can get away with anything. Money can buy you anything, and he's got a lot of it. Another thing that Trump did as well, and he is a billionaire, but he didn't take a wage. I think he's he's only the second ever president to not take a wage.
Oh, and someone else done it before.
I think in like 1930s, something like that. Another rich guy didn't take a wage, but he didn't. He donated that wage to veterans and troops and injured people and different things. But you never heard about those kinds of things either. But I think the people do like Trump, and he's got a shot at it. I won't say yes, he'll win 2024. I think it very much depends on who they put up against him. If they put up Kamala, you've got Trump for another 4 years.
Yeah, I don't think the Cuba, because she's so socialist, essentially, the Cuban people won't take that. The whole Hispanics, due to the fact of the relationship with Cuba as well, they won't do it. No
Cubans won't vote Democrat anyway.
No, they won't.
They don't vote Democrat.
I remember watching it and seeing them all with Trump flags. It just made me giggle. I just thought they say that Hispanics don't like them, but yeah, the Cuban, they love him. They love him.
He's loved in a lot of circles. He got the highest African American vote I think ever for a Republican president or candidate. I think he got the highest Hispanic vote. Obviously, more women voted for him. But the main point to consider if he'll get re-elected is going to be on the 2022 elections. If it holds out for him, if he gets his people in again. And my other point was, yeah, of course, who are they going to put him up against?
You don't think they're going to put him up against Biden? Or you talk about in the Republican Party?
I don't think Biden can last another 6 months.
Really?
I honest to God. He will, but they'll stop him speaking in public. He spoke the other day, and it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Just mumbling.
I feel, I almost see dementia in him, and I feel really sorry for the guy. I do, because he's too old for this job.
Well, it's the stressfulest job in the world.
It is, but he went into it at what, 78? He was vice president for 8 years. You know, he's an old man, and I don't want to be insulting. I don't want to be personal. Trump's old, but Trump's a lot fitter than him in a different way. He's got a lot more energy. He doesn't speak like he's got dementia and stumble like Biden. Biden forgets where he is.
Well, you only have to see some of them. Like you're saying, again, it's not, and I've got to say this for the listener, it's not a diss on him at all, but I remember watching some of his speeches and he's just talking, rambling. He's like, what am I saying again? Literally saying that, and you're thinking, oh, wow, you know.
Well, he called Obama Trump, didn't he? He made that mistake. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, and he has got a lisp, so I do give him, you know, some credit towards not being able to speak clearly. But it's the mistakes that he makes time after time, and refusing to take questions on Afghanistan. That's nailed his coffin for me. I don't want to see him again.
It's
I'm getting wound up.
I really just do believe it is just a let's calm down America, and that's why they voted him in. If they had Hillary, it would have been Trump again. I'm pretty sure of it. But I think what soured a lot of people for Trump, and what will hurt him a lot, is stop the count. I think that, I don't know why he did that. If he just accepted it, I think that would have helped a lot. He'll always have that call vote. I don't know how you think of that, Seani.
But I totally, yeah, I agree with you, Jay. We agree on a lot, I guess. But I'm a Trump guy, right? But the vote fraud thing is that's where I go away from Trump. I don't like it. I don't believe it. I think it hurts democracy. I think he did increase his votes by 12 million, and that's a big achievement.
Amazing.
But I do not believe in this voter fraud. I can't get my head around it. I've tried, trust me, but there's nothing there.
Well, I saw it when he was going. We was winning, and then we wasn't, and I was like, "What? It was stolen from us." I'm like, "No, mate, that's postal voting, mate."
Yeah, because he told his people, the Republicans, don't trust the post. You know, vote on the day. You know, these postal votes will come late. He tried to stop a huge majority of people from doing these postal votes because of COVID-19 at the time.
Yeah,
but
never going to happen.
It didn't happen. So of course, yeah, he was winning. But then the postal votes came in and people voted Democrat.
It was obviously going to happen that when he's telling people that COVID's not that bad and to go out and carry on with your day, and the Republic Party is telling you to stay indoors and to vote that way, of course you're going to stop. But if that was your strategy all along, that's a terrible strategy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I've just got to say one thing, that during the 2020 elections, when they were doing all these speeches, one thing that I laughed my head off was when Joe Biden said, "I'd like to take him to the back of the barn," and almost to fight Donald Trump, you know. And Trump brought it up in another speech, and it was just so hilarious. I thought what are these two, you know, late 70s guys doing?
You're telling me you won't pay to see that? I would watch that. I would pay so much money in pay-per-view to watch Biden versus Trump.
It's going to take me to the back of the barn.
Cornerman. What would be the cornerman for him? Would be Ted Cruz environment?
Hillary being Biden's, wouldn't she?
Yeah,
she has to get in somewhere.
Yeah,
Obama, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be that. I'd pay to watch that. I really would.
I mean, so many things with Trump's rallies. You know, he is funny. He could be a comedian. He is a very funny, charismatic character, like Boris Johnson, and they do win votes.
But with, like you were saying earlier, as you're a Trump guy, when you ask 90%, and it is that high, 90% of the Trump voters, they don't like his Twitter. They don't like it. So when he's going off and he's saying all these silly things and putting people down, and, you know, they don't like it.
No, I agree. I agree. It didn't do him any big favours, but, you know, that's Trump. you get what you pay for, don't you, in life?
You do. Seani, we've hit the hour mark. It's been, hopefully, we'll be seeing you as our new resident political analyst. It's been a pleasure having you on, my friend. For next time, we'll be doing, hopefully, a little segment called Seani Introduces. And will be Seani here explaining how Congress, the Senate, and a lot more go ahead. And also, we're going to be looking at conspiracy theories because I keep getting asked about it and it's just annoying me now, Seani. I mean, will you be looking at doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything, to do with politics, American or UK, conspiracy theories, very interesting stuff. So I've got some things to say on that maybe you might disagree with.
Well, the next one, right, will you help in joining in? That I've been asked a few times. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I've heard that you'll be helping us with Flat Earth. Are you game?
What do you mean? The Earth is flat.
And I'm wrapping up on that. Been a pleasure, Seani.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us at Tina and Bull. Leave a comment, post, and Spotify, Google Cast, Anchor, YouTube now. And remember, this is the main thing, guys. Please subscribe. Okay, and switch your notifications on. We need to get to that 1,000. And if you can, even if you share it, seriously, it matters so much when obviously we're starting out. Thank you very much again, and